Hi, and welcome to All Things Cozy with Matt.
And Jillian.
We are a bi weekly podcast about everything that is warm, soft, and comforting. In one of our earliest episodes, episode 20, we read and discussed a formative text for cozy culture generally, and in this podcast specifically, The Little Book of Hygge by Mike Viking, CEO of the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. The book is something of a cozy manifesto, defining the art of creating a comforting atmosphere and personal well-being. As calming as that text advice for producing peace is, much of it, like wearing comfy layers and lighting candles on dark nights, are best suited for winter. Now that spring has officially sprung, this week we're wondering how we might get hygge out of a sweater and into a sundress. How can we embrace coziness without all the emphasis on fireplaces and hot drinks? After all, the pursuit of everyday happiness shouldn't only happen when we're all cooped up because it's cold outside. Before we have our hygge awakening, though, let's first stop and smell the flowers with a little tea time. Jillian, what is the tea for you this week?
Well, I've been in the ER this past week. I guess that sounds very alarming. not,
What?
not literally. I have been in the ER with the pit.
Okay, you really had me worried there for a second, and I was wondering why you didn't mention that earlier. And then, even though I can see on the show notes that you're talking about a TV show, that really spiked my
Sorry.
adrenaline. That's not cozy, Jillian.
Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to do a segue and that didn't put a pep in one step, it put an alarm in one step. I apologize. So someone at work mentioned the show The Pit. It's on HBO Max, and I decided to check it out with my partner. And a bunch of episodes have already aired, and the finale will be on April 10th. So if you start it now, you have a lot of episodes to take in. And it's a medical drama, and it stars Noah Weil, who plays Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich. And it's this interesting 24 hours style, I guess, setup. It's a 15-hour shift, but it feels like that show 24, where you're just hour by hour. And so you're locked into the ER, which sounds very stressful, maybe not cozy. But there's something about medical dramas that I find very comforting because they're very formulaic. And Noah Weil, he is a star. I love him. He played Dr. John Carter on ER, and he is so comforting in this role. He has his own demons, but he takes charge of the ER, and he's there for his patients. He's there for his fellow residents. And he's just this beacon. It's hard to describe. You have to watch it to really soak into it, which sounds weird. I want him to live with me. I want him to man my house and take control of my ER, my dog pooping everywhere, my cat's throwing up everywhere, and just take charge there. But yeah, it's something I can watch with my partner, and it can be hard to find a TV show with your partner if you have very different tastes, which is the case for me. So this has been a main event in our house. We watch it every evening, and it's going to be sad when we catch up with the episodes. But yeah, it just puts a fresh spin on a tired plot because how many medical dramas are there? And it's nice to see Noah Weil coming back into a medical TV show, which he said he never would do. But in COVID, he just felt a kinship with those first responders, and he wanted to bring more of those stories to life. And so that's why he decided to take on this role.
He felt a kinship, and also he needed to get a paycheck. And yeah, we understand the pressures that bring us
I
back to things we might not want to do.
Yeah, of course. We love our workhorses. They got to go back to work.
I thought it was Noah Wiley.
You're probably right. Noah Weil.
It sounds like this show is worth your while.
Yeah, it really is. I'm high tootin', I'm wildin'.
I imagine a listener checking our show out for the first time has no idea why this lady's saying hi tootin'. It's our weird way of saying highfalutin. Anyway, I'm glad that you're enjoying your time in the pit.
Oh, it takes place in Pittsburgh. Sorry, it's
Right,
not.
there you go. That's why it's called the pit. It's in Pittsburgh.
Hop in that pit.
And try to love someone. Well, I'm sipping on some matcha today, which is beside the point, but I just wanted to, while we're talking about tea time, I am actually drinking some tea. Again, we reframed the segment so we didn't have to do this, but it actually happened accidentally. My husband made me some matcha, and so here I am enjoying it, and it's delicious. And I needed it for a little bit of energy after spending all morning cheering on friends who are running in the LA Marathon. They started by Dodger Stadium, and they ran all the way to Century City, which is on the west side, like the mall. Yeah,
That far?
Julian's eyes just went really wide
What?
because that's a very long distance. One of our friends was doing the half marathon, and one did the full marathon, which actually even went further, like a loop after even getting to Century City to do the full marathon. And what was really cozy about it was just the togetherness and community of everyone cheering on their friends, and they're holding signs. Surprisingly, there also seemed to be a lot of people who go there just to encourage people. They don't have anyone necessarily they know in the race, but they're just there to engage in the community. I thought that was really sweet and special. It's not something I would do. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be like, I'm going to go cheer on strangers at a marathon. But I love that there are people who are so invested in that as an event that they go and do that. Because I know for our friends running, they regularly participate in marathons. And so they were a little more clued into marathon culture. They kept saying crowd support. We hope the crowd
Hmm.
support is great today. And I think LA delivers on crowd support because it has those people who come out to really cheer on the runners. Some people had little power up things where like it'd be like on the end of a fishing rod practically with something that the runners could hit as they ran
Oh,
past, like
interesting.
a question mark box from Mario or something. So a lot of little fun stuff like that, a lot of inventive and unique signs. And it was just great to see everyone encouraging each other and having a good time out, enjoying the beautiful weather this morning. It was a gorgeous day in Los Angeles, perfect running weather.
Yep, it's beautiful.
The only little bit of stress was just trying to find our friends. They shared their locations, so they were like little dots. It reminded me of the scene in Alien when they can see the alien moving through the vents or something, and it's like we could see them coming. And so we tried to like make sure we cut them off at the pass so that we could get out of the car, walk over, cheer them on. They get back in the car and then go to the finish line in Century City where there was like a big beer garden and celebration, and that was chaotic as getting to the finish line. The finish line was definitely a scene for sure, but lots of smiling faces, a really fun start to the day.
And it's nice to be there so you can take their pictures, right? When they cross the
Yes,
finish line and the videos and evidence that they were
all
there.
that stuff, yeah. And they got some big honkin' medals to wear, so there's that evidence as well.
Oh, so everyone gets a medal?
If you sign up and you complete the marathon, you get a medal.
Ooh,
I'm pretty sure they
I like
should.
free swag. Yeah, of course, everyone should get a medal.
Most of the people there raise money for charity to run in the marathon, all for good causes.
They need to promote the marathon more, I think.
You think so? I mean, it seemed really well attended. I'll be quite honest. Before I knew people running in the marathon, and people who have marathons in their cities might feel this sometimes too, where it's like, ugh, the marathon's today. Like, I can't leave my house. The traffic's going to be so bad. Is my
Yeah.
first thought when I hear that the LA Marathon is happening. So it was nice to get out of that crabby little sour zone and get into a cozier, more socially adjusted place of enjoying everyone's company and enjoying a fun event happening in the city.
Yeah, maybe I should go next year. I'll be honest, when you mentioned that was the first time I heard of it, not ever, obviously, but I didn't know what was going on this past weekend. But yeah, it brings back good memories of the Boston Marathon because that's convenient because you can take the subway or
Yeah,
the,
because you lived in Boston.
yes, to give context, yes.
Next year, Jillian, we'll get you a bib. We'll get you an entry. Maybe we'll start with the half, right? You and I should train.
Okay.
We'll join and we'll raise money for charity and we'll run in the marathon. Let's do it.
Mm. Is
You don't look convinced.
there a walking marathon?
Before we spring into today's topic, we'd like to take a moment to share an exciting new partnership for our show and an opportunity for some cozy spring shopping.
That's right. Our friends at Cozy Earth sent us 2 products to try and share our thoughts with our listeners. We were excited to try them because not only have they topped the charts in our What's Trending in the world of online coziness the last couple of years, but also Cozy Earth products are designed to transform your 5 to 9, the time that matters most, into the coziest sanctuary. So I cuddled up to Cozy Earth's alpaca waffle throw blanket and Matt dried off with their Lux bath towels.
Have you ever tried the nice version of something and realize this is the first time you've ever tried a nice version of that thing in your entire life? That was Cozy Earth's Luxe bath towels for me. I knew that they were different when I pressed down on them and they bounced back from the plushness. I'm so used to using thin, cheap towels, but Cozy Earth towels are so soft. Most importantly, they're absorbent and quick drying. My bathroom is basically a spa now thanks to these towels.
While your bathroom has transformed into a high end spa mat, my living room has become a hotel suite with the addition of Cozy Earth's alpaca throw. The material nails the coveted quality of being both lightweight and warm, a telltale sign of high quality. Speaking from experience, it's perfect for comfy movie nights on the couch or for impressing guests with your elevated spring decor. But the ultimate ring of endorsement is from my 2 cats who have tried to claim the throw as their own. And they're not just adding comfort and tranquility to your bath and couch experience. Cozy Earth knows luxury starts where you rest. And their best selling bamboo sheet set is buttery soft, temperature regulating, and crafted for 5-star comfort every night.
And that comfort is risk-free with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty on all Cozy Earth bedding and bath products. Love them or send them back, but I will say there's no way I'm sending back these towels. Luxury shouldn't be out of reach. Visit cozyearth.com and use our exclusive code, ALLTHINGS, for 40% off sheets, towels, pajamas, throw blankets, and more. And if you do get a post-purchase survey, let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on All Things Cozy podcast. We'll also add the link to cozyearth.com and our code for 40% off to our show notes for your shopping convenience.
You deserve things that help you create a refuge from the demands of the outside world. Sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth.
All right, Jillian, are you ready for your Hygge awakening, a
Yes.
revisit to the Hygge concepts that we really studied early on in our podcasting career? Let's check in both in terms of a level setting for making sure we're really holding to that cozy manifesto, but also re-envisioning those concepts for the spring season. Everything we know about Hygge comes from the Little Book of Hygge, which asserts that the culture of Hygge is one of the reasons Denmark is frequently named as one of the happiest countries in the world. And I already apologize in advance. I'm going to say Hygge so often in this episode, just brace yourself. So how can we springify Hygge? We'll be following some of the book's guidelines to see how we might bring our Hygge powers into full bloom. So the book's Hygge Manifesto identifies 10 aspects of creating coziness like gratitude and harmony. Today, we'll pluck out 5 of them and discuss our approaches to manifesting a spring version of this manifesto. Let's start with atmosphere, which in the Little Book of Hygge leaned heavily on ambient light created with candles and fireplaces. We don't need all those flames in the spring. I mean, we're still burning scented candles, of course, it's us. But now that the weather is getting warmer, how might we bring the outside in and make it feel like spring inside the home? What's your approach to creating a Hygge spring atmosphere, Julian?
For this, I say assignment, because it's never work when you're creating hygge in your home, I focus more on decorations. So I had this miniature house. It's not like the mini that you put in a dollhouse, but it's like the size of a little bit taller than a mug.
It almost seems like it's the size of a cookie jar. Would you say
Yes.
that's accurate?
Yes, exactly like the size of a cookie jar. I saw it in Vaughn's, and it's this bare house. The colors are not very hygge. It's
Bare in terms of being empty, not bare in terms of being animal.
yes. Yes. It took me a while. I'm like, wait, what kind of bear are we talking about?
My
Naked?
mind is,
Nude?
I'm imagining like it's a Goldilocks situation. Bears are living in the house, but you mean it's a very stark,
Yeah,
blank
very
looking
stark.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why my first thought went to naked. I was like, oh, what's he talking about?
No, that does make sense actually, because it's very unadorned.
Yes, exactly. And the colors are brown and off-white. And so I was going to make it into a Christmas house, but I just never got around to it being so busy in the holiday season. I thought to myself, what if I turn into a spring house? Because I needed a new decoration for our console. I have a little calendar and I like to put a holiday themed item next to the calendar. So each month they change it out. So right now I have a St. Patrick's Day wreath next to it. So for April, I'm going to switch in this little house, and I bought these pressed flowers online, and I just whipped out my glue gun on a Friday night, and it was a really fun arranging the different types of flowers and vines, and it's really beautiful. The house lights up. It has those little pole things at the end so you can light it up. And so it's really beautiful at night with the light illuminating the pressed flowers, and it just adds this whimsical fairiness to my house, and it's just so bright and beautiful, and it adds a little something. So I made that craft and I showed Matt a picture and he approved.
Yeah, it turned out wonderfully. I love the colors you picked for the flowers, like all these really wonderful blues and purples. The way that it lights up at night actually really connects the original concepts of how Mike Viking in the book was approaching Hygge as having these little relaxing points of light in a dark environment that candles provide. You're doing that, but you're freshening it up with a floral piece, right? And so I think that's a great merger of the original view of what atmosphere felt like when it comes to creating coziness and hygge, but bringing it into the current spring season.
Thank you. Yeah. And it was nice to do this activity because it's very meditative and calming, arranging my flowers and picking through them. And what am I going to place near the chimney? And I just, on a Friday night, I had a glass of wine and I was listening to a podcast, and it's just really nice to do. And then also I have been changing out my tapered candles every month with a different color or design. So last month it was February and I had these little lipstick prints on the tapered candles, but this month I have a nice green ombre candle setup. And it's really pretty. So different shades of green that are very spring minded and also in mind with that color analysis we did a few episodes back, more than a few, sorry. And green was one of my colors. So I think that's very Hygge to decorate your home with colors that resonate with you, whether it just makes you feel good on a cellular level or just something you're attracted to, whether you're trying to go for a theme like I did with the season. And so that's just been a nice little touch. And I think I'm going to keep that up. Every month I'm going to switch it out. So maybe next month I'll do pastels. That's just like a little touch of something, and they're really easy to find and they're cheap. So something that I've been enjoying in decoration wise in my house.
That's great. I love those little pieces that you can update seasonally that don't break the bank. It's very simple, but it adds just a little touch of freshness for every month.
As I get older, just switching things out like every month. Okay, I'm gonna put in a new dish towel. For example, now I have a spring dish towel. I'll take out little items that I've collected throughout our years of doing the show because we've collected a lot of cute decoration throughout the year. So I'll go and dust those off. I had these cute little mushrooms that I put in our kitchen, and they're fake, but they're like fairy-like mushrooms. I just put them throughout the kitchen and tried to add a little bit of fun and pep to a space that is typically not used for that. So anything that I can do, add a little touch here and there, very small, very easy. I don't like to do a lot of things that require a ton of work. That's how I approach Hygge. Cute little dollops of sweetness that are fun and just bring a childlike sense back to my life.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
love the little cottage core pieces that you're bringing
Yeah.
into this time of the year.
How are you Hyggeing up?
I went into more of like an aroma direction in terms of creating atmosphere with scent. My first instinct, of course, was to go with natural floral aromas. I did buy a bouquet and I set that up by the window and it added all those beautiful colors that the flowers had and the scent if you were close to it. Because longtime listeners of the show will know that I find floral candles to be a little too overwhelming at times. But the actual smell of flowers obviously is wonderful. And so bringing nature in and creating that atmosphere by finding opportunities to bring in flowers or pieces of nature you find along your way when you're going for a walk in your community or neighborhood. Those are great ways, I think, to bring in the season and update your decor without spending any money and connecting with nature a little bit more. So that's one aspect of that. But then I really wanted to kick up the scent experience a notch, and I was scrolling on Instagram like a little zombie, going through reels, as too many of us do these days. And one of the reels was making the Williams Sonoma signature simmer pot. Have you seen this before, Jillian? It's basically the way to create at your home the same scent as Williams Sonoma.
I've seen the fall version.
Okay. This was the spring version, and maybe it's the same. I don't know if it is different at all, but it involves rosemary, lemon, peppercorn, and vanilla. Was it different when it was fall?
Yeah, it was different when it was fall. This
Okay.
sounds lovely. I want to soak in that.
Yeah, it's really simple. You just put a bunch of water into your Dutch oven or a little simmer pot. I just did it in whatever little saucepan I had. Honestly, nothing special. And you combine 3 sprigs of rosemary, 1 lemon cut into slices, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a teaspoon of black peppercorns. Bring that to a simmer over low heat, and then just continue that simmer for up to a couple of hours. At first, nothing happened, and that was just me being impatient, and I was like, this is a bunch of hocus pocus. It's all hokey. And I went to another room, and I was doing something else, and suddenly I was like, oh, wow, that rosemary is coming. And in short order, the rosemary comes first. It fills every room of your house. Like, it really will just permeate everything. It was wonderful. It actually kind of smelled like I had like a roast in the oven a little bit.
Mm.
And then the lemon comes in, a little bit of that citrusy tang with the peppercorn and vanilla grounding it. It was very pleasant. And it, again, talk about throw. Like, it really did hit every corner of my living space just from the kitchen. So I think it was highly effective. I do think it was so rosemary forward that my husband was like, are you cooking like a pot roast? Like, what are you doing in here? But it smelled great. And the only thing is, like, with the price of gas the way it is, I don't know if I want to have my burners on a simmer for 2 hours.
Right.
And it's a lot of effort. It's not as easy as lighting a scented candle. You know, when you want to really razzle dazzle your guests, putting a simmer pot on like this and having them walk in and be like, am I at a Williams Sonoma? I think he has an extra wow factor that brings in these spring scents And what I did love about this most of all is that these were all natural, right? Real lemon, real rosemary, nothing synthetic about it at all. If you're looking for like that natural freshness going into spring and creating a scentscape in your home, this is definitely a way to go.
Well, you've inspired me because right now I have no candles in my house. It's a candle emergency.
It is.
So
I'm actually shocked by that because I don't know how that's possible at the rate with which we review and buy
I
candles.
know I've burned through them all. I don't know. Maybe it's we have a dog now. It's like we gotta just add a little nice scent
Pump the
out.
scent out.
Yeah, pump the scent out. I only have the Campbell's soup candle left, which if you listen to our last episode, it's essentially just a soup candle. And so it's not very spring. Like, do you want your house smelling like chicken soup during the spring
It
months?
sounds like you didn't even want that to begin
No,
with.
quite frankly, no. So this is something you can definitely do in a pinch, and it makes you feel like you said, like you're creating something super magical and high end and special and fancy. And I think that's what Hygge is. It's about feeling extra special and that you can achieve something really cool and neat, but not be stressed out by the experience. Because it doesn't sound like it was very hard. And you just have to have the ingredients and you can make your own candle. That's a great
Yeah,
throw.
absolutely. Let's move on to another aspect of hygge. Pleasure was outlined as one aspect of creating hygge in your home, which in winter might look like sipping on hot cocoa. But just the idea of that is making me sweat. What tastes of spring might give us the most pleasure? Maybe like herbal tea, strawberry shortcake. What does pleasure feel like to you when it's springtime, Jillian?
I'm a savory type of lady. I
Yes.
don't really like the sweets. So I've had the past week 2 times in a row a pasta salad, not the type that you get at the grocery store. I make it very fresh, simple ingredients. It's whole wheat rigatoni, an assortment of colorful bell peppers, halved black olives, chopped zucchini and tomatoes, high quality olive oil, some lemon, chopped pieces of high quality mozzarella slices. And I eat it cold and I don't cook the vegetables. I like the experience of biting into a cold, crisp pepper and all the other assortment of vegetables that I throw in there. And I just throw it in a big bowl, mix it around, and it's so filling and it tastes so good. And it really just has that freshness I'm looking for and that I'm craving during the springtime because when that nice breeze kicks in and right before the hot LA summer starts, those nights are magical. And there's nothing better than
Hmm.
sitting outside with a pasta salad, a glass of wine in hand. I'm probably wondering why does this lady always have a glass of wine in her hand? I'm mentioning it like
Why
all the
not?
time. And yeah, it feels very filling. So that filling quality that you might want during the winter months, during the height of hygge, where you're eating really hearty soups, swap it out for a pasta salad and you can still get that filling, but also feel like you're getting nutrients because I definitely need some. Apparently, I have high cholesterol, so I really got to eat a lot of veggies, and this is a nice way to do it.
Cool, crunchy, and comforting, and low in cholesterol.
Sorry, give my medical information away.
The results of Jillian's blood test will be in our show notes.
So that's what I like to eat. And then I like ingredients that you could reuse. I think that's very cozy. So if I have the slices of mozzarella, I can just get, I keep on saying high quality, but that's how I kind of operate. I just
Hey, if
get
it's high quality, it's high quality. That's how she operates, top shelf.
I get like 4 things that are maybe like a little bit out of my price range that are really nice. And it's kind of like you should operate with clothing too. And then you just get a bunch of cheaper things that you can mix in and it just makes your food go longer and
I
it,
get what you're saying, like
yeah,
staples that
staples, yes.
are high quality that always deliver, you can count on it, so that when you add the other pieces that you're not going for top shelf, it's still grounded by that one really high quality piece.
Okay, you summed it up. I need him as my I need my translator. Okay.
That makes total sense. I get it.
So I'll take the mozzarella slices and some really nice your own tomatoes, and then I'll just make a sandwich and I'll throw some peppers on it. I'm really into bell peppers these days. And once again, that drizzle of olive oil.
That's a great option for spring and summer.
Yes.
I love it.
What about you?
My real answer is probably the Easter egg shaped Reese's peanut butter cups.
Mm.
If you're going to talk like the kind of comforting snack that is really diving into pleasure that you might really indulge in around the holidays and winter, that's kind of my actual answer. But for the sake of health and Jillian's cholesterol and promoting in season produce, I'm going to give a big shout out to the in season, in spring asparagus. And we're not talking fancy here. In my little apartment in LA, we steam the asparagus in the microwave. My husband's really good at just whipping together something that takes absolutely no effort but tastes great and is really quick. He'll throw liquid coconut aminos. We're vegetarians, so we always try to find ways to get a little bit of extra nutrition and protein. Coconut aminos kind of operates like a soy sauce, but has a bit more value in there with a little kick from sriracha. And sometimes he'll sprinkle in some Parmesan cheese on top as a finishing touch. Very quick and tasty, so we love our asparagus around this time of year.
Yeah, so easy to cook and often an overlooked vegetable, in my opinion. That goes with everything.
Yes. There's nothing as satisfying as an asparagus spear. It's also just fun to eat, especially that little flour tip of it is really nice.
Yeah, it makes you feel fancy. At least for me.
It doesn't it? It feels like a really highfalutin or high-tootin' veggie for the season.
Yeah, not to say hygge a million times, like we warned folks, but that's just another big element, feeling fancy when maybe you're not so fancy. I'm speaking for myself.
Maybe you're
not
not so fancy. Well, another obvious component of hygge is comfort. And when it's cold, we might don a favorite sweater or snuggle up with a fluffy blanket. And this aspect of hygge is all about relaxation. But what does comfort feel like when the April flowers bring May showers? How do you stay comfortable in the spring? Do you take out a lighter throw blanket or do you brighten up your wardrobe? What's your approach to comfort, Jillian?
I always like to get a haircut around this time. And you can't tell now, Matt, and we're on Zoom, so you can see me, because I just took a shower. I'm like telling everyone everything I was trying to tell you.
You're also kind of a floating head in like a blurry
I'm
landscape,
like,
too.
okay, so far I've shared that I have high cholesterol. I just took a shower. Like, you don't need to know all these things. But so you can't see it. But I lightened up my hair a bit and I also went a little bit shorter and I got some layers. I haven't had layers in, I don't know, 5 years. And it just feels like a whole refresh. And I think feeling good and leading into spring hygge starts with how you're feeling in your body. So whether that's doing some exercise or doing it more surface level approach, like a makeover, I think is great. Even if it's a little trim just to give that refresh and make you feel a little bit lighter. I say do it if you can.
I agree. My barber went a little shorter the last time I got a haircut than I normally do. I say we because I see the same person every time. So it's like
Me
it's like a
too.
joint decision, even though I have nothing to do with it. But it does feel like a nice reset. And you kind of get like a longer sort of experience with the haircut, it feels like. You really get to just enjoy literal weight off your shoulders with a nice haircut to kick off the spring.
Yeah, and trying something new, even if yours wasn't intentional, you feel like a whole new man, I bet, when you walked out of that barber shop.
Yeah, I was skipping and whistling. It was
Yeah,
great.
there you go. So, in addition to getting my tresses trimmed, now that I have actual sliding doors and I have real doors, not just one door, because I lived in a very tiny apartment, barely any windows. So now that I have
Jillian was in
windows,
jail. Doesn't want
essentially,
to admit it, but
yeah, like yeah, Matt can attest. There's barely any. You couldn't really see out of the windows. But now that I have sliding doors and windows, and with that, those sliding doors comes screen doors. And so that is a really nice function because I can just leave that open and have a nice breeze coming through without worrying that coyotes are going to stroll in. I guess they could get through the screen probably, but that's a risk I guess I'm willing to take for a little hygge breeze, if you will. So what I like to do at night is just sometimes lie in bed, stare at the ceiling, and it's really nice to have a little breeze come in from
oh
the
yeah, 100%.
yeah, come in from the screen door and I can hear the birds chirping. And now that I go out every single morning, take the dog out to go to the bathroom, it's just a symphony of sounds, which is really nice. So you get that when you have a screen door. So I hope you have a screen door in your home because it is lovely, or a screen window. That works too. You know, nothing else for clothing. I went deep into a floral phase, and so I don't need to add any more florals into my life. Well, I got my first windbreaker this year. I think I had a ton when I was little. That adds another nice quality. It feels light and airy. I do have questions about the windbreaker that I've been thinking about. Like every time I put it on, I'm not trying to sound silly here. I really, truly mean this. Is it to combat the wind, or is it just a phrase for the coat? If you can shed any light on this, I would love some answers.
It's really a jacket that's designed to shield you from being cold via the wind, but also be light enough so that
Gotcha.
you can be in warmer weather without it really being overwhelming as a coat. It's not going to make you sweat.
Yeah, I feel very official whenever I'm in it, like I'm gonna go coach a lacrosse team or something.
Well, it's a perfect segue into my approach to comfort in the spring, which leans heavily on the windbreaker because I like to dress in layers. And that's one of my favorite things about autumn, which is the return of my cardigans and my sweaters into my wardrobe. And I love to layer, but I think there's a spring version of a light layer, which you can use like airy and breathable linen, top it off with a nice windbreaker. And so I think that kind of approach to dressing helps me bring that hygge feeling with lighter fabrics and brightens up the wardrobe for spring. And yeah, you can do floral patterns. I know for men also, like those floral patterns continue to be on trend and you can see them everywhere. Brings a pop of color, especially. I feel like every time there's a new season of White Lotus out, people get more into floral shirts or Hawaiian shirts. And so that definitely can bring the brightness in into kind of a comforting place. Even with other fabrics that you are going to experience throughout your day in your home, you can take down the comforters and bring in lighter fabrics and things for your bed. Bring in your fans to bring that cool breeze out of your screen door and into your place. So I think those are some ways to leverage the nice breeze that you get in the springtime to add more comfort in the home, but then also match the fabrics that you're wearing or experiencing to meet the season where it is.
I love that phrase, meet the season. I think it's a really great tip to change out your bedding if you can, because similarly to cutting your hair, it can feel like a sleep makeover.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
something different and new, and to elevate your sleep experience like that, because you don't realize the quality of sleep and how it could really affect that if you're not meeting the season with the right type of linens. So I'm all for that. I might do that myself this week and get a refresh.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. In the Little Book of Hygge, another category of hyggeness, hugosity, is succinctly described as be here now, turn off the phones. And that is presence. So, really just being present in the moment. Now, that really doesn't feel spring focused. Like that could be any time, but it's really more that I think spring can provide new opportunities for being present that were unavailable to us when the weather was uncomfortable, cold, not enjoyable to go outside. We don't know what that's like because we live in Los Angeles, so usually we can always do those things, but not to flex. But I'm from the Midwest and Jillian's from the East Coast, so we know what it's like to be in the dead of winter, very cold and all cooped up. So, from that mindset, how can the spring season help us engage in presence and harmony? Are we stepping away from screen time to smell the flowers? How are you adding in that element of presence to bring hygge into your life, Julian?
Even though we often have great weather, with the daylight savings time and the sun setting earlier during winter time, we didn't really go out after work. But now that we've sprung forward, we've been taking the dog to a recreation area. It's right near our house. There's a parking lot, which is super convenient. So it takes out that stressful element. And there's this huge wide open field, and it's a beautiful park. And there's a playground and tennis courts and all these different things. So we're trying to socialize the dog. And since we're so focused on her and making sure that she's comfortable interacting with other dogs and she's leashed, and we're just really soaking in that moment and being present. And there's nothing like a live other being that you're responsible for to really ground you and make you present. And so just getting that fresh air and walking together and getting the exercise, and it's also really connected us with other people because there's a fellow dog owners there, and I don't really consider myself a dog owner type of personality. But people have been coming up to us and they've been talking to us and giving our dog treats or asking us what type of dog she is, and we're meeting their dogs, and it's like very social. But it's also a nice time for my partner and I to reconnect and just get in those steps that we wouldn't otherwise. And it's a beautiful area. And I think that's another part of hygge. It's just going not too far in your own community and finding those spots. You don't have to have a beautiful park to find, I'm sure, like a very cozy area where there's walking down the street. Yeah, it's just something that we hadn't really engaged in. And now we're taking full advantage of it. After work, we leave around 5 o'clock, and then we come back and we feel really refreshed. And so that's been a nice experience.
I love that. And that's a really
Yeah.
healthy habit to develop on top of that, too, that you get to enjoy when it's nicer outside.
Yeah.
Similarly to you, now that the days are longer, I'm more inclined to leave the house at night. That spring forward just a couple weeks ago at this point, it was really rough on me in terms of sleep.
Yeah.
Always is, and I am always shocked by how tired I am. And it's so cliche to say, I apologize for even expressing it. But
It's true.
despite that, it's been so nice to have all those extra daylight hours. It feels like there's so much more life that can be lived during the day. It's really refreshing. And I agree. I think enjoying the nature of your neighborhood is very cozy. Literally the day after the spring forward, we already were like in a mindset of let's go on more hikes. Let's go outside and enjoy this beautiful city and the nature that we can have here, even within a really big, bustling metropolis. So we went to this area called Bronson Canyon, and it was such a nice way to start the day. It's like the first thing we did on a Sunday morning. It's good to be reminded how many dorks live in this city whose first priority is to go for a walk because the parking lot was packed. And that might sound like, oh, I don't want to go to some horrible LA hiking area where like the parking lot is packed. I'm making it sound miserable. But despite that, it's so large. Once you get on the trail, you're not seeing that many people that often. And in some way, it's reassuring because there's enough people there. Like, if you get bit by a rattlesnake, you will be rescued. You can rest assured. And as Mike Viking wrote himself in the Little Book of Hygge, quote, hiking is the Easter egg of Hygge, as it includes slowness, rusticity, and togetherness.
Mm.
End quote.
That sums that up really beautifully. And it's interesting how you're going on the morning walks and hikes, and I'm doing the after work because I need to do more of what you've been doing, like on a Sunday morning, for example, instead of just lounging around and.
Well, it's whatever fits into your schedule. I mean, like, you're up so early for your job throughout the week. You deserve to sleep in on those weekends, right?
Thank you.
That is cozy and comforting and hygge for you.
That's true.
So I think you're doing what makes sense for your body and taking that time to be calm and relaxed when you can. And I think that includes also sleeping in when you can get that in.
That is very hygge.
Absolutely. There's one final aspect of hyggeness that we're going to springify, and that is togetherness. That's not just time spent together, but real memory-making opportunities that give rise to the, do you remember the last time we kind of types of sentiments and statements? So, Jillian, how do you engage in community and friendship in the spring?
I think it's pushing myself out of my comfort zone in a way that is safe and cozy because I think to what you were saying earlier, Matt, about how you have to work within your own limits because that is hygge. So I've been trying to do that in small ways. And so my partner's former coworker had a baby shower, and that's something we easily could have said no to because it's not a family member, and so there's really no obligation. Of course, we want to support them, but it's in the middle of a Saturday, and once again, it's not someone that we're related to, so there's not that worked in pressure. But we said yes, and I'm glad that we did because the baby shower was in Griffith Park, and it's a very large park. So even driving through it was such a fun experience because we were driving past all of the beautiful different parks within the park, and then everyone playing tennis or golf, and just it was a beautiful day. And so even driving through this park was a wonderful experience. But she had a really nice tent set up in a quiet area of the park that I don't think I've ever been to. And there's one other party going on, but really felt very intimate, but wide enough and spacious enough where the kids who are attending could run around and do whatever they wanted to do. And it's just a beautiful experience drinking strawberry lemonade, banging strawberry lemonade. It's like I need the recipe for that. And so just sitting there with this wonderful ice cold drink and the beautiful breeze, because the day after we had a lot of rain. And I think that's the coziest sunny day is the day after it rains because you have that freshness in the air and it was really relaxing. And so if you get a outdoor centric invite and you're not necessarily an outdoorsy kind of person, or I don't know this person too well, I would say just do it because more often than not, when you stretch yourself just a little bit, you end up being rewarded for it.
Absolutely. I love that. And also, it sounds like that lemonade needs to be on your pleasure list for bringing in that cozy comfort from the baby shower into your house.
Yeah. Oh, I could go on and on about strawberry lemonade, but it was just so refreshing and good. There's something like drinking lemonade outside, which is not some novel experience or some new concept. But typically, when you're going out with a picnic with friends or, you might bring some alcohol or whatever. And I was like, no, totally sober with my pink lemonade. And it was a wonderful experience.
That is wonderful. And it's more health conscious too. I love that.
Yes.
For me, I was thinking about too for springtime is that it's not like the weather's perfect, right? It can still be very windy and moisture is still a thing. It can be very rainy. But it's still nicer to be outside in the spring, obviously, than other times of the year. And so when I think about building memories, like I think about picnics, going out to restaurants that have covered outdoor seating. So if there is some sort of inclement weather, you can still enjoy it or even enjoy a little bit of rain outside while you have a bite to eat or something. We really like the breweries in LA that offer outdoor seating. It's been like a thing we've been doing more and more, just having a pint and enjoying the beautiful weather outside. But it's also something I read in the little book of Hygge as I was like revisiting like this total approach to coziness and the lifestyle of really creating a cozy home environment or like a cozy life. The author wrote, for coziness or Hygge and other times of the year like springtime, he recommended, quote, exploring from afar. And that means like if you think about the vacations that you're going to enjoy, maybe as recently or as soon as your spring break, but maybe more likely your summer vacation plans, you can begin to explore those settings from afar by watching movies where you're planning to go. Or if you're going to a place where they speak a different language, you can start practicing that language. And that might seem like an odd fit for togetherness, but I almost feel like if it is something you're doing with a family, like a family vacation or like a friendship, I think it can really build that anticipation and you can do that with your friend or with your family and it can keep you connected and it can almost get more mileage out of the idea of going to that place. So it's not just, oh yeah, I'm going to see those people when I go on vacation with them in the summer or in the spring. You can engage them earlier than that and be like, I'm so excited to visit you at this time. I've been looking at these places. What do you think about these places? Or are there any movies that locals love or books that are by local authors that I could read that would really get me excited? And you can talk about that together. I think those are ways to bring togetherness into the anticipation of vacation. So I really love that as a suggestion. I thought I'd take a little bit of time to highlight that here.
Yeah, I really relate to that because often, and you have family out of state as well, it can just be like, okay, here's my dates. Here's when I'm landing.
Right.
And not only is my sister visiting, but my mom is visiting as well. And so I've been asking her what she has in mind for when she wants to, where she wants to go when she comes. And I've been sharing my thoughts and ideas. And we actually just had a phone call this morning where we were talking about it. And just that level of excitement, it reminded me, oh, she's coming. And so it's nice to, yeah, have that comfort of knowing, yeah, that's something to look forward to instead of just a date on the calendar. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I've been trying to lean into that more myself.
It's a way to bring more of that togetherness in even during those times when, you're still in the throes of work or you're still very busy, there's a lot going on. But as we approach those more vacation-y times of the year for us Americans, that's something to continue building those relationships with anticipating that togetherness time or that time together.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully these ideas have you ready to hop like a bunny right into Hygge this spring. Do you have other ways you like to stay cozy in spring? Let us know on social media. You can find us at All Things Cozy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at All Things Cozy on Blue Sky. We're on there too. We're trying it out. If you're on Blue Sky, connect with us. Trying to see if that's a place that works for us. And of course, you can connect with us on Patreon, where you can even support our show by joining our book club. You can join at smaller levels where you can get a sticker, a magnet to show your love for the show. You can put that magnet on a laptop or your refrigerator. People can go, what's that? And you're like, that's the best podcast I've ever listened to in my life. That's All Things Cozy. If you want to support the show that way, of course, you can check us out at patreon.com/allthingscozy. But we're not done yet here today. We have a little bit more of the old-fashioned atmosphere here with our scented candle when it comes to coziness. And I have the candle this week, and I wanted to bring in something fresh and natural and a plant-based thing for spring. Of course, I thought floral first, but I also wanted to be like, okay, a lot of the stuff I was trying just did not hit the spot. But I did like the straightforwardness and subtlety of Tranquil Lemongrass by Scentsational, which is part of their stress relief line. It has a wood wick, which has a very satisfying crackle to it, but it also, I'm noticing as it's burning near me, it's releasing so much smoke into the air that I'm like, am I inhaling like I'm in a busy city street right now in my little nook with this candle, a flame next to my head? I feel like I'm probably in like 1880s New York right now in
Oh,
terms of my
God.
lung air quality in this nook. But the tranquil lemongrass aspect of it, let's talk about it. In this little space, it's overwhelming. I think this candle has incredible throw. I want it to be away from me. It's too overpowering. I'm not feeling stress relief. I'm feeling an assault of
Oh,
lemongrass.
wow.
But I think if I had this in a different part of the room, this is maybe you have to be mindful of where you're testing a scented candle. I'm testing it in a really small environment. It's really coming at me strong. It has almost like that Yankee Candle level of nuclear blast of scent. You're definitely going to get your lemongrass. I don't know if you're going to get your tranquil. I'm going to give this one half a wick up, a half a wood wick up.
Wow. Sounds like an emergency over there.
We have opposite emergencies. I have
Yeah.
too much candle right now, and you don't have enough at your
I
place.
know. Yeah, it's really sad when a throw is just too much because you have sometimes these awesome candles and great scents, but they just go too hard with it. And it sounds like this is what happened here. Maybe it was designed for a big spa.
I think so. I
It's
think actually, if you really want to bring that kind of citrusy lemongrass scent, like it is delivering that. If you want that for like a barn, this is your candle.
yeah, and honestly, the company name I wouldn't really associate with like stress relief. It's sensational.
Yeah, no, it's coming at you. They
Yeah,
are
it's coming
like,
at you.
yeah, full blast. Well, we are heading out full blast into our spring hygge lifestyles that we've helped cultivate today. Again, if any of these things resonate with you, if you try some of them, please let us know. Check us out on social media to do that. We'd love to hear your suggestions, things that you do to stay cozy in the springtime. We'd love to hear that. We'll be back in your ears with another cozy episode in just a couple more weeks. Until next time,
Stay cozy.